I was looking for a treatment that could help my daughter give herself back to herself, if that makes sense. She changed. She changed at the age of 14. She's a high-level soccer player and had an injury that coincided with puberty, coincided with a period of life, call it 9th grade, where things changed for her. She was this outgoing, super bubbly, lots of friends, very visionary, very growth-oriented, very outgoing. And all of a sudden things changed. She became introverted, and I saw some things change, and I couldn't directly tie it to whether it was puberty, hormones, environment, friend groups, competition. But things changed enough where I needed to understand what was driving that change. So Gracie, at age 14, and in about October, she was playing soccer competitively. I was at a tournament and went up to head a ball, got flipped up in the air, landed, hit her head. And it was a very competitive tournament. Lots of college coaches were there. She was one of the players that a lot of those coaches were looking to watch. And so after she had the head injury, she was able to get off the field. Coaches said, hey, you want to go back on? There's a big unknown about what a head injury is and what the repercussions are. She didn't know, so she decided to play again, got nauseated immediately upon going on the field, got dizzy and all but passed out, and was taken off the field to the first aid tent and was, quote, diagnosed with a concussion. And at that point, was told to go back to her hotel room, sit in dark space, don't look at bright screens, don't read, don't concentrate, and just kind of relax. And that was the beginning of a new journey for us that day. It raised an awareness of things that most people don't understand. For us, we didn't understand what a brain injury means to somebody when it comes to their health as a human, making decisions, the way they process the world, the way that they feel. You don't attribute your energy each day. You don't attribute the way you interact with your family, your sisters, your friends, whatever it may be, to a head injury. You think of a head injury as like a bump or a bruise and you recover from it. But for us as a family, we realized the depth of change that happens in a life of all the people around you, plus the person who was affected. And with Gracie, it was a 180-degree change from who she was as a person to who she had become after that injury. So I'll say that the most illuminating thing for me, the thing that jumped out, was when we were able to see an EEG and see that change in how her brain was functioning. In some aspects, it was sad as a parent that we didn't know the way that we were interacting with her and the way that she was conducting herself were so dependent on an injury and not how she was trying to be or who she wanted to be. And we felt a lot of guilt for coming down on her, being hard on her, and she felt a lot of not freedom, but relief that she wasn't becoming a bad person. She had an injury. Day to day, as a result of the brain injury, she wouldn't get out of bed. Her body, we took her to numerous doctors. Doctors would say, Gracie's body just isn't happy. That was their diagnosis. It's just not happy. She's not comfortable where she is. She doesn't want, to do things because she just doesn't feel good and her body just needs time to heal. They never diagnosed a concussion. They never said this is a result of a brain injury. They just said that whatever's going on with Gracie, whether it's hormones, whether it's time, this time of her life as she's growing and things are changing, whether it's, trouble in school, whatever it may be, they never said, hey, your daughter has a concussion or potentially have a brain injury. They always focused on, her body's just not happy. And that's what we experienced. That's what she experienced. We could never point to exactly what it is. We just knew that everything wasn't like it was. So that was, it was a very interesting time, to say the least. Yes, there was a shift that occurred immediately, and then that shift kind of compounded as time went on. It's funny, actions, behavior continue to compound on top of each other. And I'll give you an example of that. So she right after the injury, she was afraid to play soccer. She was afraid to go head to head with people. She was afraid to get up in the air and head a ball. She was afraid to get stuck in defensively. She was avoiding contact, where prior to that, she welcomed contact. She's always, been taller, stronger than a lot of the kids her same age. And that's kind of what she was known for, as being an enforcer. What's interesting about that is after the injury, she avoided contact. She then avoided eye contact. She avoided trying and showing up for things. She didn't want to fail, and you could tell there was a sense of confusion with her. She didn't know how to be competitive in the way that she used to, and she was always kind of looking for a way to get back to herself. And with that continued to compound itself, that when she would have small failures, those failures would build onto personal relationships, and then she would stop being outgoing and trying to create relationships because she was struggling with how to fit into the relationship, because she couldn't manage her own feelings or manage her emotions day to day. And then when that happened, then she started to pull back from her soccer team, and then she started to get bad grades because she couldn't focus and do well in class. And then bad grades started to get her in trouble with teachers, that then got her kind of outcast from being favored in the academic world. And it was a spiral that kind of just kept perpetuating and getting faster, and unfortunately was heading in a wrong direction for her. It was one turn caused a lot of things to turn in her case. The EEG experience is honestly unremarkable. It's like getting a cup of coffee. It's like trying on a pair of clothes, pants, shirt, whatever. There's literally, I think the biggest inconvenience is sitting somewhere for 10 minutes and trying not to fall asleep. There's nothing much to it. The amount of information that comes from that 10 minutes is life-changing. When we read the EEGs and we had those read to us, it was, I would honestly say, one of the most empowering things that my children had gone through to that point in their life. Is given the acceptance and the backing to be who it is they are. Like it was no judgment. It was, hey, you can't change this. This is how you see the world, and this is how your brain operates, and everything you do from that, this is how the world will be presented to you based on the way your brain is wired. And you could see them get excited. You could also see there was hope, especially for Gracie. She knew immediately that something wasn't exactly like it should be. And the power that gave her, there was just a lift in her step that day. It was pretty cool. There's a few times in your life where you get to know your child. You get to see your child in their most raw element. When they're born, you get to see them. You get to hold them. This is hard to talk to. When you can provide them a resource that helps them become who you know they are, who you know they want to be, there's nothing more as a parent. You spend your entire life as a parent trying to, I spend my time as a parent trying to put my child in the best opportunity to be successful. That moment was one of the most powerful days of my life, learning that there was an opportunity to help my child.